Good morning, Florida lacrosse fans. It's a Monday morning coffee with Florida lacrosse news. Lee Roggenberg, your host. An enormous weekend. Plenty of action, plenty of games that affected polls. Before we get to that, just want to mention that unfortunately the bad guys won yesterday. Orange of Syracuse eking out the 18-16 win over the Statesmen. Have to give West Orange alum Mikey Bergman a little shout out, 2 goals in the win. Those of you who watched the game saw a back and forth beauty, a lot of fun to watch, a lot of intensity. I'll save my ref criticism for another time, and we'll just leave it at that. And we'll see which of the 2 teams are playing in May. Okay. We'll see how long the high school recap takes because there's an awful lot to get to it. And if so, then we'll hold off the college recap for tomorrow because tonight's high school schedule is pretty light. An awful lot of Florida kids at the D1 level, the D2 level, really put up big games last night. We have a lot to be proud of from our kids on that. Okay, let's go straight to Friday night on the boys' side. Lake Charles 7-6 over Lincoln. In a local rivalry game, McClay handling a South Carolina team, Bishop England 13-10. St. Brendan 13-6 over Lely. East Lake 13-8 over Wharton. Dwyer of the 9-5 win over Park Vista. Tehapa-Caliga 9-6 over Lake Wales. Stoneman of the 7-5 win over Boca. It had Lakeland 8-1 over Bartow. Cypress Creek 14-11 over Wiregrass Ranch. Miami Country Day 10-9, I believe, in overtime over Palmer Trinity. Another one of Coach T's videos up on YouTube. They had Mandarin 14-11 over Fletcher. Lovett, Georgia, handling Lake Highland 15-8. All Saints Academy 11-5 over First Academy. West Broward 11-8 over Calvary Christian Florida on Fort Lauderdale. Durant 12-11 over Winter Haven. Alonzo 11-5 over Manatee. Cypress Bay 6-4 over Naples. Edgewater 6-4 over West Orange. You had schools, easy winners, Canterbury, Leon, Osceola, Steinbrenner, Kings Ridge of Georgia, Sebastian River, St. Thomas Aquinas, game that I attended, Bowles, St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, Lake Nona, Sarasota, Columbus, Jesuit, Sun Lake, Mitchell, and Dr. Phillips. Now let's get to the 7 games that had implications. Cardinal Mooney, 7-6 win over Newsom. After losing 16-2 to Winter Park early in the year, Cardinal Mooney has righted their season. This is a great win. I believe it was on the road too. Newsom drops a little bit in our polling, and Cardinal Mooney moves up in 1A with that. St. Andrews with the long-fought traditional rivalry game over St. John Paul. Those of you who don't know, they're approximately 500 yards apart if you do it as the bird flies. It's always been a huge game, and St. Andrews, again, number 1 in the state, coming through the 11-4 win. St. Edwards, big one, 12-10 at home over Pinecrest. That sounded like it was a marvelous back-and-forth game, too. St. Edwards continues undefeated. For Pinecrest, it's their first loss of the year. And 2 teams I expect to see battling it out in the brackets in their regions. Oxbridge 9-5 over Jupiter. That's a very big win for Oxbridge because they were, even though I had them ranked, I probably under-researched them early in the season, and it looks like they're back on track with the type of team that Coach Ross really likes to put out there. Community School 17-15 at home over Western. That has implications for Community School moving up in 1A and Western, still looking for a couple of big wins that would really bring them up the polls. Now, Creekside 14-8 over Oak Hall. Very nice rebound for Creekside after a tough stretch. Oak Hall going down for their first loss of the year. But again, these are games that get played every year up north, and I expect to see Oak Hall rebounding nicely. And Creekside, congrats to them for that. And then the biggest one of the night on Friday, Lake Mary with the overtime win over Winter Park. Rematch of last year's semifinal game in 2A. And Lake Mary with the win. I vaulted them to number 1 in the polls. Well earned. I don't want people to say, well, why not this? Why not that? It's week 3. They're all going to play each other a lot. Let it play out and let them work the way that it's going to naturally work. But congratulations to the Rams. I believe this is the first time number 1 in my polls over the years. I don't know if a power ranking had them there, but certainly proving their mettle, and they're going to be they're in a very tough region. Let's not kid ourselves. Region 1 in 2A is very tough, and just because they're number 1 now doesn't mean they're getting back to the Final Four. But it's going to be a wonderful thing to watch. And one of the things that's important about a win like this is that when you look at that region, I think you can pretty much pencil in at this point that Creekside, Ponte Vedra, and Lake Mary are going to win 3 of those 4 districts. And number 1 seed, and I want to be smirch or put down what's likely going to be Gulf Breeze out of District 1. But Gulf Breeze is a step below these 3. And whoever has the number 1 seed in this bracket is going to have a nice advantage. So congrats again to Lake Mary. On the girls' side on Friday, Westminster Christian 4-2 over Coral Reef. Key West 12-4 over Palmetto. Land O'Lakes 8-7 over Sun Lake. Creekside 16-9 over Oak Hall. We've got St. Augustine 7-4 over Gulf Breeze. Kings Academy 13-10 over Palm Beach Central. Canterbury 12-11 over Cypress Lake. Cooper City 11-8 over West Boca. South Fork 11-5 over Vieira. Jensen Beach 13-8 over Jupiter. Sickles 11-3 over Celebration. Edgewood 7-5 over Melbourne. And in 2 of the key games on Friday night, and I have to give props to Vero Beach for this weekend. Vero Beach on Friday night, 16-10 over Episcopal School of Jacksonville, which is a heck of a team. And that was a great win, but that's not even the best of the weekend for Vero. And then Bartram Trail with the 12-5 win over Haggerty, a team that actually beat Vero earlier in the year. And that vaults Bartram Trail into the top spot in 2A as St. Thomas Aquinas had fallen earlier in the week. Easy winners that night: St. Edward's, Miami Country Day, Wiregrass Wrench, Boca Raton Community School, Forest, Fletcher, Tohopeka, Cardinal Gibbons, Riverview Sarasota, Wellington, Academy of the Holy Names, which is starting to make its way back up into consideration. Santa Fe, I'm going to have to take a look at Santa Fe. They've been winning pretty easy. I suspect it's an easy schedule, but it's not a team that I've talked about over the years, and it'd be nice to see how they're progressing. Fleming Island, Lake Wales, Oviedo, and Seacoast Collegiate. On Saturday, on the boys' side, Kings Ridge of Georgia puts away Maclay 15-8. Trinity Prep 11-3 over John Carroll. Wellington stays undefeated, 12-9 win over Pine School. American Heritage Plantation with the 6-3 win over Westminster Christian. That gets American Heritage Plantation back into the polls for the first time this year. Gulf Breeze 16-8 over Waccamaw of South Carolina. Excuse me. Berlin Jesuit 12-4 over Kings Academy. Lovett with the 12-11 win over Montverde. Riverview Sarasota 11-6 over Gulf Coast. Gulliver Prep 9-3 over Key West. And Episcopal comes back after their loss to St. Thomas with the 9-8 win over Ransom Everglades. Easy winners on the boys' side: Flagler Palm Coast, another school I'm going to pay attention to. Jensen Beach, which is moved into consideration in 1A. Fleming Island, and Milton. On the girls' side, we'll get these out of the way. Westminster Christian 4-2 over Coral Reef. Key West 12-4 over Palmetto. Land O'Lakes 8-7 over Sun Lake. I'm sorry, that's Fridays. My fault. Back to Saturday. Calvary Christian Fort Lauderdale 15-7 over Key West. We had Gulf Coast and American Heritage Del Rey with easy wins. Now let's talk about Benjamin with the 13-11 win over Episcopal Jacksonville. That vaults them up the polls. I certainly missed on them in the preseason poll. And then we had this remarkable round robin with Vero Beach, Steinbrenner, and Newsom. If you're a fan of girls lacrosse, I reached out and asked what was the size of the crowd. I was told by one of the coaches that it was kind of a normal sized crowd. Shame on you. You're given 3 games like this to attend, probably for the price of one. That game should have been must attendance by all of the girls' youth programs in that area. Even if you had let them in for free. What an event this turned out to be. In the first game, Vero Beach 10-9 over Steinbrenner. Then the second game, I believe it was Vero Beach 13-9 over Newsom, and Steinbrenner in the third game 6-5 over Newsom. That's must-see lacrosse, people. Doesn't get more than that. Realistically, I would love to see these occur, these types of 3-team round robins occur once a year for every of the top programs, if you can swing it in your area. If not, the double headers. We've kind of talked about these things before. We've got to find a way to bring more casual fans out to these games, and this is one of the ways you should do it. Vero, fantastic weekend. I could have made you co 1A. Just giving the slight edge to Bartram right now. I don't think we're going to have to worry about either of these teams sort of making their bracket appearances at this point. But when you take out what was then an Episcopal top 5 1A team, then you come back and you beat the number 3 2A team, and then a top 10 2A team, all in the same weekend, you have accomplished. Shannon, Dean, head coach Vero, and your girls, your program, congratulations on a fantastic weekend. Okay, now on the upcoming games tonight, not too many that really make a difference. Satellite at 5 on the girls' side. Satellite at 5-1 is going to host Vieira at 4-1. That could be quite an important game when it comes to potential power rankings. When it comes to maybe an at-large bid, let's not forget. Remember, at-large bids, and just because it's not a top 10 matchup, doesn't mean it's not a key game when it comes to potentially getting that at-large bid. And as we go further with Varsity Sports Network, I think by now the boys basketball championships are over, and that should basically be it for the winter. And if that's true, and we get back to filming maybe later this week, one of the main focuses of the broadcast is going to be who's in and who's out. And that's important for these types of games. And as you'll see, as we do those types of broadcasts. So St. John Paul at 4-2 is hosting Boca Raton at 5-1. On the boys' side, Buchholz at 5-1 is hosting Creekside, and that's to see if Buchholz can get a signature win. Lake Mineola 4-3 hosting Seminole 5-2, another game that might very well have at-large implications. And then big one down here, Jupiter at 4-3 is hosting Planet 6-1, 6-1, with a rematch of last year's semifinal. I'm probably not going to go to that game tonight because I'm going to do a doubleheader tomorrow. And as I've said before, less games in person, more of this just for the wear and tear on me by week 7 or 8 or so. I see we've already gone over 15 minutes. We've got, I'll give you a couple of the interesting performances at the D1 level by Florida kids, and then we'll come back and do a full-blown college weekend recap tomorrow. Ponte Vedra grad Freddie Amato had 3 assists for Lehigh in their Navy win. Cypress Bay's Anthony Corselli with Marquette, 3 ground balls that caused turnover in their win over Detroit Mercy. Those who watched the Jacksonville-Utah game last night, Cardinal Mooney's MJ McMahon, I believe, had a career high, 2 goals, 3 assists for Utah against the Dolphins. Fleming Island's Eric Dobson, 2 assists for Notre Dame against Maryland. St. Edward's Austin Strazula, St. Joseph's, 1 goal, 2 assists in the win over Monmouth. St. Thomas's Mikey Adler, 71% save percentage for Duke against Richmond. And Maclay's Matthew Weingartner, 2 goals, 2 assists for Mercer in the 13-11 loss to Robert Morris. And believe me, there's plenty more to come tomorrow on the college side. If you get out to a game, great. Take a friend. Make sure they have fun. Continue growing the game. Lay off the refs. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And if not, find 5 people who will. Like these videos, please, if you do. So this is Lee Roggenberg, Florida Lacrosse News, saying so long from the Sunshine State.